What's up, everybody? This is the Sports Nerd coming at you here, and something very interesting I wanted to bring to you guys. And surprisingly, this is not a game type of video. It is a sort of a let's reflect and review kind of video. The Chiefs are now into the bye, 8-1. Yes, extremely happy about that. 8-1 into the bye, and I just have to say, with everything that's going to be heading towards us after this bye. I'm extremely excited of what's about to happen. But again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm almost nearing 50 subs, so I really greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Try and get me up there. See if I can get toward the end of the year. And I would greatly appreciate every single one of you who have stayed around here. So now let's get into it. So first of all, let's look at the standings here real quick. So we have the Chiefs here at 8-1 in first place, and then with a solid lead over the Las Vegas Raiders at 5-3, and then Denver 3-5, and then the Chargers at 2-6. Now, the question is here: even though we have this lead in the division, look at our schedule coming up. After this bye week, we are at the Raiders, we are at the Buccaneers, home against the Broncos, in Miami, and then in New Orleans. That's the stretch before we finish off against the Falcons and Chargers at home. Now, ironically, for the division, which we could basically clinch here, is going to be 100% this Raiders game right after the bye. So win that game, we'll feel very good about ourselves. But the thing is that with this Raiders team, and I've known how this team can play against us. We see how they played against us at home. We have not lost them at home in so long. Now, obviously, I love divisional games. I love divisional rivalries. I think they really help up the intensity, and I think that they really help to bring a sort of new feel to this game. But either way, we say that we win that game, and that's the most important game of it all. So even though we have that lead, we can just win that game and solidify ourselves as the division winners, I think, with that win. Unless something else crazy happens, which I do not expect, then that will basically almost seal the division for us completely. It's still slight chances because of the lead, but this is the second and final game against the Raiders, and that would basically solidify it. Now, looking at the AFC as a whole. Now, obviously, the team to beat in the AFC is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. 8-0 and looking very good right now. But the thing about this Pittsburgh team, and I don't know if you guys saw that game against the Cowboys, but they beat a really bad, and I mean Dakless, like no offensive line, ferocious and atrocious defense by only 5 points. Excuse me, by only 5 points. Now, you may say that it could be just one of those games that they had a hiccup or something, but no. Give this Dallas team credit. They had no business in this game. And just by that shows me what direction the Steelers are heading in. Because I think that if you're looking at who the Steelers are going up against in this AFC, you have the Chiefs, as we said, you have the Bills, you have the Colts, you have the Ravens, you have the Titans, and then you have Miami also in there. You have the Browns, you have a bunch of other teams in there. Then basically what you're going to have to go up against is going to be, even though you look like this now, you're going to need to play a lot more like yourselves like you did in the early games in order to play up to these level teams. Because if you played like you did against the Cowboys, then it's very unlikely that you could go very far, or you will not go to as far as a Super Bowl and win it, because there are going to be some teams out there like the Saints and the Packers and potentially the Seahawks who could very potentially absolutely play better than you like that, and then they will be able to you will be able to play and they will overtake them, and they will overtake you. But either way, let's take a look at our team as a whole. Now, just the big thing I always look at heading into this bye week is always going to be injuries. Obviously, the big one on here is going to be Sammy Watkins looking at this. I mean, what we need to realize is Sammy Watkins is probably one of my favorite targets to go to. he helps to see that because throughout the past few games that he's not been here, I always was worried heading into the game because I feel like that we once had basically this entire wide receiving core with Tyreek Hill, Demarcus Robinson, and a couple other guys on there that basically could go to certain guys like only one guy per game and it wouldn't be spread out enough. Having him back would be very big, and I think that especially with that hamstring, he's been out for a couple weeks now, which was expected. He said he would be out a couple weeks, but especially for this stretch coming up, the wide receiving core, like it used to be, needs to be a lot more knowing that everyone's going to be on the field. Just to know that this defense needs to watch out for them and not just focus on a couple of these guys like Tyreek Hill and Demarcus Robinson and Travis Kelce, like all those other guys on there. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, looking at this injury report here, um, we have Frank Clark. I mean, heading into Frank Clark, obviously on that injury report, heading in is to get him fully healthy. I mean, I'm just going based off of week 9, by the way, just of clarification. But um, Frank Clark, he was having that knee issue, need to clear him up a little bit. Mitchell Schwartz, again, was out. That was another big one. Veteran tackle, very important to the offensive line. Chris Jones in that groin, he did play. He hasn't missed a start exactly, but especially with, I mean, he hasn't missed a lot of games, but we want him to be fully healthy, especially with his ability that he can do. Um, Derek, he needs to get up there. Um, Austin Ryder, of course. Eric Fisher, another veteran tackle. He did play, but also that shoulder. So there are a couple guys on there that we could very easily want to see. Excuse me. Want to see get fully healthy within this body because this stretch is very important coming up. Now, for my other things to review for the offense, I really love where this team is heading. Mahomes is doing what he is doing. Essentially, he has not really changed from his form. He's had a couple bad instances where he's like not using his fully enough time, or he's not um, taking full advantage of what he has. But other than that, he's really playing like he really should be playing, and I'm very happy about that. But other than that, looking at the offensive side of the ball, some of these guys, I have to even say that this is an offense that I've literally not seen so versatile in so long. I mean, it's been crazy. But other than that, I mean, this offense has really been something that's been very proud of. I mean, I think that just having Sammy Watkins up there, I think would just solidify someone else to watch out for because you have guys like Tyreek Hill and Demarcus Robinson and excuse me, and then McCall Hardman and Travis Kelce. Sammy Watkins is that guy that's always out there, and I think that's something that just to solidify, put him in there would really help to like just say this offense is set and we can really go at it. But that's what we need to focus on this bye week is getting him healthy. Now, look at the defensive side of the ball. Defense is doing very, I think is doing for especially for the corners. Looking at the corners right now, the big worry coming into the year, Rashad Breeland was obviously on a 4-game suspension for violating the substance policy of the NFL. But obviously, I think that he's going to need to really show that he can step up the way he has because I think that if you really see that, if he can play like he did now when he came back in, I think he'll be very, very. He has had some games where he does have penalties, and I think that that could really affect us. But if he can play like he did, and when he can play like when he does best, then that will really help us out. Now, looking at the other side, I mean, Ward, again, could maybe drop some of the penalties. I think that if I have just the penalties of the defense, I think is something that needs to change, especially on both sides of the ball. I think would really help to minimize a little bit because I think that, for example, back in that Raiders game where we lost, 2 touchdowns got called back, both to Tyreek Hill because of holding penalties. And we ended up only losing that game by 8, 40-32. But so that could really be the difference maker in the game. But just looking at those two, that's what I would say is that the biggest issue for us is going to be how are we going to minimize the penalties later on, and then how are we going to use these mistakes that we learned during this first half and apply it to the second half, which is when the playoff races start heating up. So that's what I really have to say about that. But Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have not done so already, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that fun jazz. I'm almost at 50 subs, like I said. My goal is before the end of the year, get me to 50 subs. I would really greatly appreciate it. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, have yourselves a great rest of your evening. Have a great weekend. And 8-1 on a bye. Go Chiefs, baby.